Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Deep Dive. Don't forget, before we get started, to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and click that notification bell so you don't miss any of our future deep dives. Today we're diving into a relationship that's crucial for understanding the future of Asia, India, and Japan. Now, this isn't just for the international relations wonks out there. Whether you're a UPSC aspirant gearing up for GS2 or a student who's just curious about what's happening in the world, this deep dive's for you. To help us break it all down, we have an expert joining us who can untangle the threads of history, economics, and strategy.
Excited to be here. The India-Japan relationship is a fascinating one. It shows how two very different nations can come together and have an impact that's felt around the world.
Yeah, it really does. And it's a relationship that has really stood the test of time. We're not talking about some new agreement here. The connections go way back, and to understand what's happening now, we need to go back in time a bit.
Definitely. Think about this for a second. Back in the 6th century, Buddhism, which started in India, traveled all the way to Japan. It ended up shaping Japanese culture and how they see the world.
Wow.
It really laid the foundation for a bond based on spiritual values, something you can still see in their relationship today.
It's amazing how a connection that old can still be relevant today. But let's fast forward a bit to the early 20th century. Even during India's fight for independence, there were connections with Japan. A key figure in the independence movement, Rash Behari Bose, actually looked to Japan for support.
That's right. It's really interesting how, even in times of global shifts and all the conflicts happening back then, there was this sense of common goals between them, maybe even a feeling of standing together against the colonial powers.
It makes you think about how differently things might have gone if history had taken a different turn. But history is full of twists and turns. Even when India conducted its nuclear tests in 1998, there were sanctions from Japan. But they eventually got back on track and built a strong partnership.
The fact they could come back from that kind of tension really shows how strong their bond is. And it leads to where we are today. Two democracies with a shared belief in peace, the rule of law, and tolerance.
Right.
That shared ground is what their current cooperation is built on.
It's that common ground that lets them tackle the big problems together. And that's where things get really exciting, especially if you're interested in economics, because the economic partnership between India and Japan is booming.
Absolutely. And it goes way beyond just the trade numbers, even though those are important. Think about their Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, or CEPA. It's a different kind of trade deal.
So what's so special about CEPA? What makes it different?
It's a strategic move towards really integrating their economies. They're not just exchanging goods. They're sharing knowledge and technology. It's like they're building an ecosystem where both of their economies can grow stronger by working together. And we can see this playing out in the real world.
For sure. Like all the investments Japan is making in India, we're talking about massive projects like the Delhi-Mumbai Industrial Corridor and huge investments in areas like automobiles, electronics, you name it.
And it goes beyond just setting up factories in India. Japanese investment is also about building up India's capacity. Take the Japan-India Institute of Manufacturing, JIM for short.
Right.
They're focused on giving Indian workers the skills they need to succeed in advanced manufacturing. That's about empowering people in the long run.
And of course, we can't forget about the bullet train everyone's talking about. Japan is helping India build its first high-speed rail line between Mumbai and Ahmedabad. It's a big leap forward for India's infrastructure, and it shows how much these two countries are working together on technology.
That project is more than just trains. It's a sign that Japan believes in India's potential. They're putting their money where their mouth is and investing in India's future. It means more jobs, new technologies coming in, and even changes in how cities are developing.
It's like a chain reaction of progress. And this partnership is about more than just economics. There's a whole security and defense side to their relationship that's really important for understanding how power dynamics are shifting in Asia.
Absolutely. The India-Japan 2+2 ministerial dialogue is where we see how the strategic partnership works at the highest levels.
Now, for those who might not know, the 2+2 dialogue brings together both countries' foreign and defense ministers. So it's a pretty big deal. But what's so important about this dialogue? What makes it stand out?
It shows a really deep level of trust and agreement on security issues. It's pretty remarkable, and you can see it in action. Joint military exercises, sharing information to keep track of what's happening at sea. They're coordinating their strategies and preparing for a future where they might have to work together.
And let's be honest here. Part of this coordination is about dealing with China's growing influence.
Yeah, you're right. Both India and Japan are trying to figure out how to deal with China's growing power. While they want to engage with China economically, they also want to protect their own interests and make sure there's a balance of power in the Indo-Pacific region. This shared concern is a major reason they're working so closely together strategically.
So we're talking about joint military exercises, sharing intel, and much more. But it's even deeper than that, right? There are talks about potentially sharing defense technology and even working together on things like submarines and robotics.
That's where things get really interesting. It's not just about buying and selling weapons. They're talking about developing technology together, sharing cutting-edge innovations, and building up a defense industry that can handle the challenges of the 21st century.
It's a powerful combination, and it's definitely sending a message to the region and the world. But we also need to remember that the India-Japan partnership is about more than just military might or economic gains. They have a much bigger vision in mind.
You're exactly right. That's something that often gets lost in the news. The India-Japan relationship goes much deeper. It's about people connecting with each other, sharing cultures, collaborating in academia. It's about building bridges between entire societies.
And that's what makes it so fascinating. It's not just a deal. It's about real change.
Yeah.
But we'll go deeper into all of that after a quick break.
You got it. It's not just about signing on the dotted line. It's about really understanding each other and building real connections.
It's like they're building this massive highway of cooperation with all these different lanes. Trade and defense are just two of them. What are some of the other exciting lanes we should be looking at?
Well, one lane that's really speeding up is the India-Japan Digital Partnership. It focuses on working together in areas like AI, 5G, even cybersecurity.
Right.
They know the future is digital, and they want to be in the driver's seat together.
It's like they're creating a digital dream team. India's strength in software combined with Japan's knack for technological innovation. That's a recipe for success in this day and age.
Exactly. And it's not just governments talking to each other. They're connecting startups, encouraging research projects together, even trying to make sure people in both countries know how to use technology. It's about making sure everyone's connected in the digital future.
And speaking of the future, they're also looking up at the stars. They've got a joint space exploration program, don't they?
That's right. They're teaming up on satellite technology Earth observation missions, even thinking about going to the moon together. It shows how ambitious they are and how much they believe in the power of science to bring people together.
It's amazing how they're working together on everything from submarines in the ocean to missions to the moon.
And don't forget about the challenges they're facing right here on Earth. They're partnering up on disaster risk reduction, sharing what they know and the technology they have to deal with things like earthquakes and tsunamis. Considering they're both vulnerable to these kinds of disasters, it makes sense for them to work together and be prepared.
They're not just thinking about the future. They're getting ready for what's happening right now. And it sounds like they're also taking on one of the biggest challenges we're facing, climate change.
Definitely. They're both investing a lot in renewable energy and working on projects to develop clean technologies. They're also collaborating on sustainable agriculture and conservation efforts. They understand that climate change is a global issue that needs everyone on board to solve it.
So they're teaming up on space exploration, climate change, even healthcare. That's pretty impressive.
It's true. They're sharing their expertise on preventing diseases, doing medical research, and even trying to figure out how to make healthcare more affordable for everyone. They get it. Healthy people are essential for a country to develop sustainably.
It's like a beautiful symphony of cooperation, each sector adding its own unique sound to create this harmonious partnership. But even the most beautiful symphonies can have a few off-key notes. What are some of the challenges that this relationship faces?
You're right. No relationship is perfect. There are always bumps in the road. One challenge is the trade imbalance. India's exports to Japan are much lower than its imports, and that creates a deficit. They're working on finding solutions like making it easier for Indian products and services to enter the Japanese market.
So it's not all sunshine and roses. There are real economic issues that need to be addressed.
Exactly. And then there's the whole geopolitical balancing act that India has to manage. They have close ties with Russia, this country that Japan has a pretty complicated relationship with. Trying to keep everyone happy can be tough, especially when there's so much tension in the world.
It's a reminder that even the best partnerships have to navigate the complexities of global politics.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And it's important to remember that while they have a lot in common, there are also differences in how they see things and what's important to them. They need to keep talking to each other and be willing to compromise.
It's like a dance where both partners have to move together while still respecting each other's individual steps. But even with these challenges, you get the sense that this partnership is built to last.
That's the great thing about it. This isn't just a temporary arrangement. It's a partnership built on shared values, mutual respect, and a genuine desire to make the world a better place together.
And this partnership has such a long and fascinating history. It really helps to understand their current dynamic.
Let's dig into that historical background a bit more.
Sure. We've already talked about how Buddhism spread to Japan and the connections during India's independence movement. But let's zoom in on World War II.
Okay.
It was a complicated time with India under British rule and Japan fighting on the other side. But there were some interesting interactions happening even then.
Like the story of Subhas Chandra Bose. That one's always fascinated me. You got it. Subhas Chandra Bose was a major figure in India's struggle for independence. He saw an opportunity in Japan's opposition to British colonialism, so he asked for their help to form the Azad Hind Fauj, also known as the Indian National Army, to fight for India's freedom.
It's incredible how, even during a world war, these connections were being made. It shows how determined India was to be independent, even if it meant looking for allies in unexpected places.
And even after the war ended, the relationship didn't just disappear. In 1952, India decided to sign a separate peace treaty with Japan. This showed they were committed to reconciliation and rebuilding their relationship. It was a bold move considering the global political climate at the time.
It's interesting how they were able to move past the war and focus on a new path forward. But then the Cold War brought its own set of challenges, didn't it?
It did. The Cold War changed everything. New alliances were formed, ideological divides were drawn, and that's how countries interacted with each other. Japan aligned itself with the U.S., while India chose a non-aligned foreign policy. They often found themselves on opposite sides of the political spectrum.
It must have been tricky for both of them trying to maintain their own alliances while also keeping their bilateral relationship going.
It was. But despite their ideological differences and all the geopolitical pressure, they managed to stay engaged. Trade continued, they had cultural exchanges, and they kept their diplomatic channels open. It showed how strong their relationship really was underneath it all.
It's like they had this unspoken understanding that their shared history and cultural connection were more important than the political divisions of the time.
I like that way of putting it. And as the Cold War started to wind down, their relationship really blossomed. In 2000, they officially recognized their special strategic and global partnership. It was a sign that they were both committed to peace, stability, and prosperity in the Indo-Pacific and beyond.
So it's not just about them anymore. It's about taking on global challenges together.
Exactly. It's about using their combined power and influence to make the world a better place. They're coordinating their positions on big global issues, pushing for reforms, and looking for solutions that benefit everyone. It's like they've gone from a simple waltz to a complex tango on the world stage.
And they're dancing with some pretty powerful partners. One of the most prominent platforms for their strategic partnership is the Quad, which also includes the United States and Australia. What's the significance of this grouping, especially as we're diving deep into India-Japan relations?
The Quad, or the Quadrilateral Security Dialogue, as it's formally known, is all about making sure the Indo-Pacific is free and open. It's about ensuring freedom of navigation, upholding international law, and promoting a rules-based order in the region. Basically, it's a place where like-minded democracies can get together to discuss and address common concerns.
And a lot of people see it as a way to counter China's growing assertiveness in the Indo-Pacific.
That's one way to look at it for sure. The Quad's focus on maritime security and regional stability is definitely relevant considering China's growing influence. But it's important to remember that the Quad isn't a formal military alliance.
Right. It's more about dialogue and cooperation, not about getting ready for a fight.
Exactly. It's about finding common ground, reaching agreements, and working together to ensure the Indo-Pacific region is stable and prosperous.
So let's talk about defense cooperation specifically. We've seen India and Japan conducting more joint military exercises lately. What's driving this trend, and what are some of the key areas where they're working together?
This increase in defense cooperation reflects their shared security interests, particularly in the maritime domain. They're worried about issues like piracy, terrorism, and the need to maintain a free and open maritime commons.
And it seems like these concerns are growing more serious with China's expanding naval presence in the region.
That's definitely a factor. Both India and Japan are watching China's growing military capabilities and its assertive actions in the South China Sea and the Indian Ocean. This shared concern is bringing them closer together, both in terms of strategic dialogue and practical cooperation.
So it's not just about exercises. They're also discussing collaborating on defense technology, right? What about that acquisition and cross-servicing agreement, or ACSA? That seems like a big deal.
The ACSA, if it's finalized, would allow them to share logistical support and facilities. This would deepen their defense ties and make it easier for them to work together. It would make things smoother for joint exercises, humanitarian assistance, and disaster relief operations.
It's like they're building a more streamlined and efficient framework for their defense partnership. And it's not just about hardware and logistics. They're also sharing expertise and best practices in areas like maritime domain awareness, cybersecurity, and counterterrorism.
Absolutely. It's a comprehensive approach to defense cooperation that reflects the changing nature of security challenges in the 21st century. It's about adapting to new threats, sharing knowledge, and building a stronger and more resilient defense architecture.
It's recognizing that in today's world, security challenges rarely stay within one country's borders.
Exactly. They require countries to work together, and the India-Japan partnership is a perfect example of how this can be done to create a more secure and stable environment for everyone.
So we've explored the historical background, the strategic alignment, and the growing defense cooperation between India and Japan. But their partnership goes beyond just security concerns. Let's dive into their economic partnership.
Absolutely. Their economic relationship has many layers encompassing trade, investment, infrastructure development, and technological collaboration. It's a dynamic and evolving partnership driven by mutual interests and a shared vision for a prosperous future. One of the cornerstones of this partnership is the India-Japan Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, or CEPA, which we touched upon earlier.
Right. Can you tell us more about CEPA's impact on their trade relations and how it's shaping their economic interaction?
CEPA has been a game changer for their bilateral trade. It's really boosted trade by reducing tariffs and making it easier for businesses to access each other's markets. This has made it easier for goods and services to flow between the two countries, which has helped both economies grow.
So it's not just about Japanese companies investing in India. It's about creating a more balanced trade relationship that benefits both sides.
Exactly, and it goes beyond just lowering tariffs. CEPA also has provisions for encouraging investment, protecting intellectual property rights, and making it easier for professionals to move between the two countries. It's a comprehensive framework designed to bring their economies closer together.
And Japan has been a major player in India's infrastructure development, with investments in projects like the Delhi-Mumbai Industrial Corridor and the Mumbai-Ahmedabad High-Speed Railway. These projects seem to be more than just economic endeavors. They're changing the face of India.
That's true. These infrastructure projects are transforming India. They're not just about connecting places. They're about creating jobs, boosting economic activity, and making India more competitive. They're laying the groundwork for a more modern and prosperous India.
It's like Japan is investing in India's future, not just its present. And it's not just about physical infrastructure either. There's a growing emphasis on technological collaboration, especially in areas like renewable energy, information technology, and artificial intelligence.
Absolutely. These are areas where both countries have strengths, and by working together, they can leverage each other's expertise and innovation to drive future growth. They're partnering on projects to develop cutting-edge technologies from smart cities to electric vehicles to robotics.
It's fascinating how their economic partnership is evolving to embrace new opportunities in these cutting-edge fields. It's a partnership that's constantly pushing the boundaries of innovation.
And it's a partnership that's rooted in a shared vision of a future powered by innovation, sustainability, and technological advancement. They're both committed to finding solutions to global challenges, and they see collaboration as the key to unlocking those solutions.
It's truly inspiring to witness how these two nations are working together to create a more prosperous and sustainable future for themselves and the world. But as we know, every partnership faces challenges, and the India-Japan relationship is no exception. What are some of the key challenges and opportunities that lie ahead for this dynamic duo?
That's a great question. The partnership is strong, but there are always challenges to navigate. One is the constantly changing geopolitical landscape with all its uncertainties and shifting power dynamics.
You mean like the rise of China and the ongoing tensions in the Indo-Pacific region?
Exactly. The rise of China is definitely something that both India and Japan have to deal with. It's crucial for them to maintain a balanced approach engaging with China when possible, while also addressing security concerns and protecting their own interests. It's a delicate balancing act.
It's like they're walking a tightrope trying to stay balanced while the winds of global power are shifting all around them.
I like that analogy. And it's not just about China either. There are other geopolitical challenges like the conflict in Ukraine, the nuclear threat from North Korea, and the instability in the Middle East. All of these things can impact the India-Japan partnership and require careful consideration.
So it's not just about bilateral cooperation, it's about understanding the global context and responding to global challenges in a coordinated and effective manner.
Precisely. And on the economic front, there's the challenge of reducing the trade deficit and encouraging more investment in both directions.
Yes, we talked about the trade imbalance earlier.
Yeah.
What are some steps they can take to address this issue?
Well, one key area is market access. India needs to make it easier for businesses to operate there and remove obstacles to trade and investment if they want to attract more Japanese companies. Japan, on the other hand, can look for ways to import more from India and create more opportunities for Indian businesses in the Japanese market.
So it's about creating a more level playing field and ensuring that both sides benefit equally from the economic partnership.
Exactly. It's about moving beyond the traditional model where one side gives and the other receives, and building a more equitable and sustainable economic relationship.
It reminds us that even the strongest partnerships need constant work and adaptation to stay relevant and mutually beneficial.
You're absolutely right. But despite the challenges, there are also incredible opportunities for them to collaborate even more.
Tell me more about these opportunities. Where do you see the India-Japan partnership really excelling in the years to come?
Well, one area with massive potential is space exploration. Both countries have ambitious space programs, and there's a lot of room for joint missions developing satellites together and even collaborating on sending humans into space. Imagine an Indian astronaut joining a Japanese mission to the moon.
That would be incredible. It would be a testament to their partnership and an inspiration for aspiring scientists and engineers in both countries.
And it's not just about exploring space. They can also work together on tackling climate change, which is one of the biggest challenges we face. They're both investing a lot in renewable energy and developing new technologies to reduce carbon emissions. Imagine if they pooled their resources and expertise to create a global center for clean energy innovation.
It would be a game changer for the fight against climate change and would establish them as leaders in the transition to a sustainable future.
Exactly. And let's not forget about healthcare. Both India and Japan have aging populations and face challenges in providing affordable and accessible healthcare. Imagine if they collaborated on developing new medical technologies, shared best practices, and even created joint ventures in the healthcare sector.
They could create a model for healthcare innovation and delivery that would benefit not just their own citizens, but also provide solutions for other countries facing similar challenges.
You got it. And these are just a few examples. The possibilities for collaboration are endless, from education and research to infrastructure development and cultural exchange.
It's clear that the India-Japan partnership is a major force on the world stage one that's poised to shape the future of the Indo-Pacific region and beyond. It's a relationship built on a solid foundation of shared values, mutual respect, and a common vision for a peaceful and prosperous world.
Their collaboration covers a wide range of areas, from economic and defense cooperation to people-to-people exchanges and cultural diplomacy. It's truly inspiring to see how their partnership is flourishing in so many different ways.
And this multifaceted partnership is a testament to their enduring bond and their commitment to working together to address global challenges and create a more secure and sustainable future for all. It's a partnership that's not just about transactions, but about real transformation.
Absolutely. And their commitment to peace, democracy, and a rules-based international order gives us hope in a world that can often feel chaotic and unpredictable.
It's a partnership that shows the world that working together, not against each other, is the way to build a better future for everyone.
Well said. It's a partnership worth celebrating and nurturing.
It's been an incredible journey exploring the multifaceted world of India-Japan relations.
It really shows how a partnership based on shared values can overcome historical obstacles and become a force for good in the world.
And for anyone listening who's preparing to the UPSC, this deep dive into India-Japan relations is a perfect example of how interconnected the world really is.
It touches upon so many aspects of the GS2 syllabus, like foreign policy, international security, even economic development.
We've seen how history, culture, economics, and strategy all come together to shape this relationship.
and how it's playing a key role in the changing dynamics of the Indo-Pacific region.
From ancient Buddhist ties to cutting-edge technological collaboration, it's a partnership that spans centuries and touches every aspect of life.
And it offers valuable lessons for anyone who wants to understand the complexities of international relations.
Like how shared democratic values can create trust and cooperation even when there's geopolitical competition.
And how economic partnerships can go beyond just trade to create a ripple effect of growth and development.
We've also seen how India and Japan are using their partnership to address global challenges.
From climate change and pandemics to maritime security and technological innovation.
They're proving that collaboration isn't just a fancy word. It's a powerful way to create a better future.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what are some key takeaways for our listeners?
I think the most important takeaway is that the India-Japan partnership isn't something that just sits still.
It's a dynamic and ever-evolving relationship that's constantly adapting to the changing world.
And it's a partnership that deserves our attention because it's shaping the future of Asia and the world.
Whether you're a UPSC aspirant, a student, or just someone who's curious about the world, understanding this relationship gives you a glimpse into the forces shaping our lives.
As we conclude, I want to leave you with a thought.
What are the key factors that will determine the future of this partnership in the years to come?
How will they navigate the challenges posed by China's rise and the changing geopolitical order?
And how can they leverage their strengths to become even more influential on the world stage?
These are questions that we'll continue to explore as this fascinating partnership develops.
And we encourage you to stay curious, keep learning, and join us for future deep dives as we uncover the intricate connections that shape our world.
A huge thank you to our expert for sharing their insights with us today. And to all of you listening, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell icon for more deep dives.
Until next time, keep exploring.
It's been an amazing journey exploring the world of India-Japan relations. So much depth and complexity.
It really shows how powerful a partnership based on shared values can be. They've overcome so many historical challenges and emerged as a real force on the global stage.
And for any of our listeners who are studying for the UPSC, this deep dive into India-Japan relations is a perfect example of how interconnected everything is in the world today.
Absolutely. It touches on so many parts of the GS2 syllabus. Foreign policy, international security, economic development, it's all there.
We've seen how history, culture, economics, and strategy all intertwine to shape this relationship.
And it's playing such a crucial role in the evolving dynamics of the Indo-Pacific region.
From those ancient Buddhist connections to cutting-edge technological collaborations, it's a partnership that spans centuries and impacts so many aspects of life.
It offers valuable lessons for anyone trying to understand the complexities of international relations.
For sure. Like how shared democratic values can build trust and lead to cooperation even when there's geopolitical competition going on.
And how economic partnerships can be about so much more than just trade. They can create a ripple effect of growth and development that benefits everyone involved.
We've also seen how India and Japan are using their partnership to tackle the big challenges facing the world.
Right. From climate change and pandemics to maritime security and technological innovation, they're working together to find solutions.
They're proving that collaboration isn't just a buzzword. It's a powerful way to build a better future.
Absolutely. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what are some of the key takeaways for our listeners?
I think the most important takeaway is that the India-Japan partnership isn't static. It's not just sitting there unchanging.
Right. It's a dynamic and constantly evolving relationship. It's adapting to the ever-changing global landscape.
And it's a partnership that we all need to pay attention to because it's impacting the future of Asia and the world as a whole.
Whether you're a UPSC aspirant, a student, or just someone who's curious about what's happening in the world, understanding this relationship helps you understand the forces shaping our lives.
Couldn't agree more. As we wrap up, I want to leave you all with a thought.
What are the key factors that will determine the future of this partnership in the years to come? How will they navigate the challenges of China's rise and the shifting geopolitical order?
And how can they leverage their strengths to become even more influential on the world stage?
These are questions worth pondering.
Absolutely. These are the questions we'll continue to explore as this fascinating partnership evolves.
And we hope you'll join us on that journey. Stay curious, keep learning, and come along for more deep dives as we uncover the intricate connections that shape our world.
A huge thank you to our expert for sharing such insightful analysis today. And all of you listening out there, Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell icon so you don't miss any of our future deep dives. We'll be back soon with another fascinating topic. Until then, keep exploring.